Okay, time for the first of this big wave of updates. The first one is going to be what comic books and graphic novels that I've picked up since I last gave you an update. Now, this first one, it isn't exactly a comic book or graphic novel, but it's appropriate that I put it in this video rather than the next couple. I might have alluded to this particular thing existing in my last DVD and Blu-ray update. I can't really remember, but since this started off the particular franchise that it's based on, I figured that I should get it. So I got The Addams Family and Evolution, which is apparently all, or at least all that you can reasonably find, of Charles Addams' drawings for the Addams Family, because this is how it all started. Although the interesting thing is, these were just single panel drawings without any dialogue. They weren't all black and white. Done a little bit of flipping through here. Some of these things have some color, but it'll take me too long to find them. But there is some text in here that describes Charles Addams, a little bits about the caricatures, and it's a nice thing to have. Well, what can I really say about it, honestly? Although apparently the characters' names as we know them didn't exist until that original TV show. Interesting. Now, this batch of graphic novels that I'm going to show you next, they relate to a particular franchise that I was trying to review on this channel back in late 2020, early 2021, and then I just petered off because I got employed at the grocery store that I am working at now, and I got too busy to continue with this, but I still consider myself quite lucky that I was able to find these, because apparently going on Amazon or eBay, you can find them, but it's a little tricky to guarantee that they're going to come to you in good quality. However, I was able to find a particular website that sells, or at least did, sell merchandise for this particular franchise. This was one of the items that they had there, so I grabbed them at a pretty decent price, actually. Unfortunately, I don't think I have that website linked or bookmarked anywhere, and I wouldn't be too surprised at all if during the times that I've had to clear my cookies, it was deleted from my browser history, but if I find it again, I'll link it. But regardless, I picked up all 6 volumes of the Voltron Force graphic novel series. Now, I don't think that this continues the show, and it's just misadventures with the cast, but as someone who liked the show, I'm hoping that I find these to be rather interesting. There is also another comic that's part of that 25th anniversary Voltron guide that came out forever ago. It goes for a pretty penny for hardback, but you can download it on Kindle for an okay price, so I did that, and then I photographed all pages of the comic and saved it into a Word document, but it's not really a comic, it's more like a mini comic, and it doesn't really seem like it continues the show that much. I don't know, I didn't look at it that closely. Eh. There is supposedly a podcast out there that details what the creators had for ideas for Season 2 of Voltron Force that never happened, because the last 20 seconds of the last episode create an unnecessary cliffhanger. But whoever linked that podcast didn't tell me where they started saying those ideas, and it's a pretty long podcast, and I'm sure is entertaining, but right now I just don't feel like listening to all of it. Who knows, maybe I'll change my mind. So just to tell you the order of all these, you have number 1, Shelter from the Storm. It wouldn't surprise me if these are self-contained stories, though. Volume 2, Tournament of Lions. Volume 3, Twin Trouble. Volume 4, Rise of the Beast King. Volume 5, Dragon Dawn. And Volume 6, True Colors. hoping that I enjoy those when I get to them. Oh, only $8 retail price? I'm pretty sure that I paid more than that. First world problems, what can I say? Okay, now in my last graphic novel update video, you'll notice that I included all works for a particular person except for his most well-known work. Well, that was deliberate because while his most known work is the easiest to get, in part, it's the hardest to get all of because unlike his other works, they weren't published as one volume, they were published as 26 volumes. Well, I'm proud to say that I now have all 26 volumes of Peanuts! Now I know what you're thinking. Hold on, that's only 3 of them. The back there, right about where I'm pointing. You think I'm going to lug all 26 of them over here? That's ridiculous. I'm only showing you these 3 because this is volume 1, this is volume 25, and this is volume 26. Why would I just get the bookends? It doesn't make any sense. But it's really interesting to see just how much things changed over time for Peanuts, because looking at Charlie Brown here, you notice how his head looks like the football he's always trying to catch? Compare that to the last Peanuts strip where he looks like how we all know him. So you get to see a lot of change done with Peanuts over the years, and then you get great interviews that were from various celebrities or people that were close to Charles Schulz, because in Volume 1 here you get Garrison Keillor. I'm sure that I'm mispronouncing that. He's well known somehow. For Volume 25, you get an introduction from Obama, who was president when this was published. And then for Volume 26, you get a introduction from Schulz's wife. But I do need to make one thing clear. Even though I made this clear in my other update about Charles Schulz's stuff, I'm going to say it again here regardless. If you have this volume, I would still recommend that you purchase the Lil Folks volume that looks like this. You can find this on Amazon or eBay, but they seem to fetch collector's prices, whereas I just purchased this from the museum's own website. But I don't know if you can still do it or not. I got this a long time ago. But it's definitely better to get that for a few reasons. One, you go from reading Peanuts from 1950 all the way to the beginning of 2000, and then you jump to a work that he did before all of that. That to me just seems a little annoying. And also, whereas Peanuts reads the way that you would expect, when you get to Lil Folks in here, you gotta read it like this. That's not how this thing's designed to be read, you know. Now, I get that it means that you don't have to split up the drawings, okay? I get it, but... And they wanted to, you know, pad out this volume a little bit because there's supposed to be 2 years of comics per every volume, despite this volume being 2 years and change, but I'm thinking, why didn't you just take the change from this, put it in volume 25, and then just put this out on its own? I just think that that's better. And also with this thing, you get little behind the scenes info in here in addition to the drawings, along with seeing 1 or 2 drawings that he did that aren't Peanuts, you know? It's just far better to get this than just dealing with volume 25 of this set. Now this, on the other hand, the bonus volume, thankfully, it reads quite normally with all the miscellaneous and bonus stuff, officially rounding out Peanuts to 50 years, because that's really kind of, it's really kind of sad how close he was to 50 years, but even if he had made it to October of 2000, he still wouldn't have been at 50 years worth of strips. He would have had 50 years from strip 1 to strip whatever, but for the first 2-ish years of this strip, it didn't have any Sundays. So I think that's part of the reason why they included this, because once you add in the amount of strips that were published for this series, coincidentally all on Sundays, even though this was before Peanuts, it takes care of that gap plus a little more, thankfully. So that completes the Peanuts bit, but I was like, why stop there? Aren't there a couple of other well-known comic strips that have been published over the years? And yeah, there are. One of which I might have referenced on this channel before. The other one I didn't reference because I didn't know it existed for a while, but then I read about it, and I'm like, even though I really know nothing about it, there's something that is really compelling me to find out more about it. So I downloaded a whole documentary about this strip, liked what I saw, even though I wasn't, oh my god, wowed about it, and then I looked into how could I get this strip, and I had a few options, such as do I get a hardback or a paperback, and then do I get the individual books, or do I get the complete series set as individual books plus an additional treasury? Well, I ended up getting the complete paperback collection of... Oh god, I hate how heavy this is. Calvin and Hobbes. Yeah. Yeah, I literally grew up never hearing about this, although to be fair, this was published from, I think it was 85 to 95, and I was born November of 1993, so I missed out on most of this strip, you know. But, yeah. From what I've read, it seems like an entertaining thing, and I do think I'm going to like quite a decent amount of it from what I read on the free comic site that had actually all of this strip, which is how I was out to get my feet wet, and all of this, which is what made me kind of realize, yeah, I'd like to probably try and grab this stuff. Now I know what you're thinking. Why did I get the complete series stuff for this show and comic strip and not the individual books? Well, it's because there's some bonus drawings that Bill Watterson did for this strip that all republished in like some kind of treasury, but it seemed like it was just easier to get this to guarantee that I would have everything, so I did. And then why the paperback? Well, because, simply put, these things aren't exactly small, you know? So imagine reading a hardcover version of this. That would be even heavier. So that's why I went for this. Although one thing that kind of gets to me about this is that all Peanuts stuff is put in black and white here, despite the fact that Peanuts was never in color up until like 92, and even then it was only the Sundays that were in color after that. So I do think you made the right decision to keep it all black and white, especially since all of Schultz's other comics were only published in black and white anyway. But for this, you have an odd situation where all of the Monday through Saturday things are in black and white, but then you have the Sunday in color, which I think is kind of odd. Now, granted, that is explicitly how this was originally published, so that might be their reasoning for it, but I don't know, that just kind of gets to me, and I have some odd suspicion that I'm actually going to like the black and white ones better than the color. I don't know why, just that's how I do. And I also know that there's like a few comics in there that are subtly altered. There's a page on like the Calvin and Hobbes wiki that explains what those alterations are. If I find that page again, I'll put it down below. But I'm glad to have that. I think that that's going to be quite fun to look through. Well, that took a little longer than I expected, but hope you enjoyed this update for the comic books. Now to move on to the actual books.